Hey,
Everybody got
how are
some people
you?
already in there in the waiting area in the chat already? Um,
Everybody ready?
yeah. Let's see. Do-do-do-do-do. Just trying to figure out everything. This is only, still new to me, so I'm still learning it all.
I know when you sent this, I'm like, what is this? I never
I
heard of
hear you.
this.
Yeah. Well, definitely welcome. And if you guys can hear us okay, if you can just give us a thumbs up, a hello, something in the chat box to let us know you can hear and see us okay. Just want to make sure that the chat area is working for me that I can. Oh, I'm getting a whole echo. Wow, I got like a complete echo. I don't know. Tammy, can you hear me okay? Okay. Thank you, Mad Woman 23.
But you went like mute. Hold up.
I went
I mean,
mute.
not mute, but low.
Okay. I can hear myself.
But low.
That's weird. Okay. I'm not sure why I can hear myself talking again.
Yeah, I can hear you twice.
Yeah, let me try and see if it's this mic. Let me see. It's over. All right. I think I stopped the echo. All right. Well, I think we're good to go. You can still hear me okay?
I can hear
Okay.
you.
Cool. All right, cool. I think we're good to go. Well, thank you for joining today. I think we'll have one more lady joining us in a few minutes, but definitely I appreciate you taking the time to have a discussion with me about firearms in America. Are they destroying America or not? So that is the topic that we definitely want to focus on today. Although you are an awesome person of ABC Fitness, you're helping us stay safe and healthy by way of fitness and health when it comes to that. So we'll definitely make sure that we touch on those topics that is definitely going to be more geared towards your expertise. So, such as mental health, how physically being fit actually keeps you, healthy mentally. And it will keep you from having thoughts of suicide and things of that nature, or maybe raging out, picking out a gun and, hurting someone with a gun because you're angry. So
Yep.
we'll definitely talk about that a little bit more. There's also that small little area there of, we need to even that battleground.
Yeah.
So when it comes to sometimes you have people who are just, for example, male and female, a lot of times you pretty much think about the male being stronger than the women physically. And so sometimes women just kind of need that firearm to kind of even that battlefield, basically. So that is also something that you can focus on too. um, well, while we got people still joining, I will like to go ahead and just let you guys know that this is a safe space. As we are discussing firearms, I do want to be respectful for everyone's views and point of view. So I don't want anybody feeling a little bit out of place because um, I believe majority of the people are actually 2A people, but I may have some people here are totally against guns, and that's okay. You definitely feel free to jump in and voice your opinion, but we are going to maintain respect for everyone and their point of views. So 1 second, is saying that this room is full. I have somebody trying to join, and it's saying it's full. Monitor. Okay, so let's see. I don't know how I can fix that right now. Let me see if I can get uh, someone to help me with that. The other person who's trying to join us in discussion is having a hard time and saying that it's full. Okay, give me one. Okay. All right. So I don't know if you guys could have seen me the entire time or hear me, but I was just trying to help people get on here. All right. So anyway, so let's just start this thing from the beginning here. I'm Sheena, or Mrs. Trouble, and I've been doing firearm training for quite a bit of while now. Trouble Defense is the company, it's the shirt. And so, doing that, we've actually encountered some really awesome women, and just women that have like expressed their concerns about safety, have expressed their fears towards firearms and things of that nature. So it kind of like just spent us down this whole rabbit hole of, I think we need a YouTube channel to explore a lot of these stories, and also keep women empowered and inspired, to live their
Mm-hmm.
dreams, but also face firearms head on. Like, let's just jump in that thing and learn these firearms, take control, basically.
Yep.
So that's exactly what we're doing. And so one of the topics that really kind of stood out amongst many was, are guns destroying America? I mean, really, it's one of those questions you really have to think about, because statistically we have quite a bit of, at least the media will portray, we have quite a bit of mass shootings and, different type of street violence and things like that with the use of firearms. And so the way it's portrayed is portrayed almost as if, we got to get rid of guns. And
Yes.
so I'm just like, whew, that just cannot be. I'm so, pro Second Amendment here. And I just want to kind of explore that conversation a little bit more to kind of, see all sides of the fence when it comes to this. So,
I agree.
yeah. So what is your perspective of, guns, being something historically? Like, what do you think? How do we get from historical point of view to, the fact of the nation was built on the fact of us being able to bear arms just so that we can be
Mm-hmm.
able to protect ourselves. The world looked very different historically, right?
It does.
The police couldn't get to us in minutes. It would have probably taken them a good while to even know that something was even wrong if they even had police back then. So,
I agree. Looking
yeah.
at my dad, who loves Gunsmoke. I never knew Wells Fargo was a TV show. And a lot of the old westerns. When you
Mm-hmm.
look at those, they were needed for self-defense because they did not have a sheriff or police, but more than likely just one person to protect the whole entire town. So
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have to have a firearm to protect yourself. There was no locks, there was no 80 keys, it was no brakes on your home. So you had to do whatever you had to do. Protect your cattle, protect your business, protect your bank, protect your town.
Yeah.
I'm a Washingtonian, and I grew up in Southeast DC, and lost a lot of friends to gun violence. So I do think it's two sides. I think
Yeah.
it's one side when it's used the right way for self-defense, and then I think it's the other side when weapons and guns get out into the street illegally and not
Mm-hmm.
used the right way. So I think, like when we go out and promote or try to break down what we need in the community for our youth when it gets into um, a cannabis and weed. And I had a lady to say, well, it's three types. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So you got the street weed, you got the ones in the dispensaries, and then you have the medical. So how do you separate the same thing when it comes to weapons? It's different. It's different types of ways that they're being used, and different purposes in which people have them. So I think we have to have a conversation about the different buckets that they go into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that
They saying
definitely
it's
makes a lot of
echoing,
sense.
and I hear that as well.
It's echoing. Okay, 1 second here. I'm trying to see if my sound would be better. 1 second, you guys. That's weird. How
Because
about
I
now?
thought it was me. I'm like, well, I've been here this twice.
Oh no. How about now? Does this sound
It's
better, you
better.
guys? Okay.
It's
So
better.
I tried to use my mic before and I was hearing myself.
And I was hearing myself well as I was talking.
Oh my gosh.
I can hear it now, but not as much.
Okay. Okay. And how about you guys, the audience? Is the echoing better? Just wanted to make sure.
She said it's just ABC.
Mm,
And I don't have it open on anything else. Because I don't hear
okay.
echoing on my end. I hear echoing on your end when I say something.
Okay. Oh, that's wild. Okay.
And I don't have it open on my
Let's
computer.
try. Do you want to try refreshing your screen and see if that will help?
I'm seeing
I
if
don't want
all my little tabs are closed. I
Okay.
can go on and come back in.
Okay. That might work right there. Okay, you guys. Sorry, bear with us. Trying to figure out this sound thing. So how do I sound by myself? Okay. So let's see if I'm taking the mic off will work. Okay. So let's see about that. All right, you guys. So how was that?
I'm afraid this is it's still is.
It's still echoing.
Do you have it open on another device?
I don't. No. No. That's weird. I don't understand why it
Let me
would
see if I
be.
try it.
Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm sitting up here thinking we all good to go, but it's looking like maybe not.
Is it
Okay.
still echoing?
I don't hear it.
Yes.
Okay. And the
Can
message
somebody put in the chat if it's still echoing?
Okay. Doesn't look like we even getting new chats now. Okay, I got some thumbs up, but I don't know.
Am I still echoing? Now I don't hear it. She said it's bad. It's still doing it. Echoing really bad.
Going really bad. Okay. So
Hello?
let me
Now
try
I
to
don't
turn this
hear
off.
it.
Yeah, let me try to turn this off and turn it back on, you guys. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Oh, nope. Somebody said no, they don't hear it echo. Do you still hear it, Tammy?
Let me say something. Nope, I don't hear it. It's gone.
Oh. Oh, okay, cool. I guess we're all good. Thank you guys.
Woo!
Okay.
She knew what's the issue.
Yeah,
I
I'll
know
take
it
it.
wasn't
I'll
me.
take it. What the heck? I'll take it.
Yeah, so going back, I think that guns can be placed into different categories or different type of boxes. It's not
Mhm.
like a one shoe fit all because I think everybody have their own reason for bearing a firearm. If someone wants to have something for self defense and conceal and carry and don't have any mental issues or whatever, good to go. When you have
Yeah.
a illegal weapons and stuff like that on the street, I think we have to have that conversation on how do we get them off the street. Even
Mhm.
when it comes out, come to ghost guns. And then you have the other bucket where it's being sold on the street or not being used the proper way where people want to cause hurt, harm, and danger in schools and communities and outings and events. And I think on that end, it comes to social media presence. People want to have that copycat syndrome and being the first person to do XYZ. So I just think it's different boxes or different categories to put them in.
And that's facts. I mean, definitely truth right there. It's definitely many ways of looking at firearms, and I feel like people who are so against firearms, they want to lump it all in together, and that is definitely a big problem. I mean,
Yeah.
even when I was looking at the announcement that our attorney general made about it being he declaring it a public I'm sorry, a public health crisis is what he labeled it. And I thought real hard about that because immediately after saying that in this interview, he went to the statistics. And the statistics showed on his end that 56% of gun violence is what they want to call it all, right? Is 56% is suicide. And they said 40% are homicide. And
Mm-hmm.
then you had 5% accidental deaths. So when you hear gun violence, immediately, I don't know about you, but maybe you view this differently. But for me, when I hear gun violence, I'm thinking about someone murdering someone.
Yeah,
I
not
never think,
self-inflicted harm.
yeah, not self-inflicted harm, not accidental deaths necessarily. I'm not counting any of that. I'm thinking about someone hurting another person. And so when you think about it, more people, more gun violence is happening by way of suicide than by way of homicide, by way of accidental deaths. But the only thing that you really hear as far as people helping people with firearms or not
Mm-hmm.
using firearms is definitely homicide.
Yeah.
You hear homicide so much, because we think about these mass shootings. And oh my gosh, I wish I had that statistic in my I should have brought this up, but
The
the
number of
last
mass
time I
shootings.
checked about mass shootings, the definition only needed to be about 4 people that was injured by way of a firearm for them to consider it a mass shooting. And I may be wrong on that number, but it was about 4 people. And when I think about
Mm-hmm.
mass shootings, I'm thinking
I
of
think hundreds.
yes.
Yeah.
And so to me, I feel like as soon as you hear that, it causes the heart to beat, and people get really nervous. They get really upset. They get angry.
Mm-hmm.
And then, not to say, something's better than the other, but I'm pretty sure we will all agree that, 4 people being injured at one time versus 20 people, 100 people is a whole lot better. And but
Yeah.
that word mass, they just put such a stigma
On
on the
everything.
shooting aspect when they use that word mass. And
Yeah.
so,
I
yeah,
think one death is one too many because you have to look
yes,
at all of the families and stuff that it impacts. Um, I don't know when you say, I guess a really good data can be skewed any kind of way. Like I can manipulate data to be whatever I want it to be. The same way when it
hmm,
comes to the media, they can paint whatever picture they want to sway people to go
yes,
into because it's really easy to put your own spin on the direction that you want the information to go.
hmm,
It's very few media outlets that has raw data like Al Jazeera and a couple of other ones that's out there that does not rely on money from ads and advertisement and is not endorsed by the government and things of that nature. So it's very few. So you really have to be
yeah,
careful of um, the amount of belief that you put into the information that's being conveyed by the news. So the first thing I would look at when it comes to what is going on versus a suicide or a homicide, because like I said, one death is one too many. Because when I grew up in Southeast DC, you had Sixth Street against Good Hope Road or Good Hope Road against 23rd Street. So we had like a lot of drive-bys, and I lost
yeah,
a lot of friends and things of that nature because now you have to look at why is it so prevalent in the streets. So then once again, you want to have another set of pots because you got
hmm,
gangs, then you
yeah,
got copycat people. Then you also have suicides. Then you have don't leave out domestic abuse or domestic violence. So now we got
yeah,
all these different pots in the street. So it's no way to lump everything into one pot because there's so many different pots on different levels on when you look at it. So we have to have a
yeah.
pot for each one of these things that we're looking at. So I just think
That's
it's
very
so
true.
yeah,
And
so I think it's so
statistical
easy
data
to
should
lump
be,
it together, but it's not all together, especially when you
mhm,
got mental health issues when people want to do the copycat things. You have to look
yes,
at what is the driving force behind that, and then do we have people in the schools, people on the jobs, and people ready to provide what is needed to those that are suffering mentally. Even
hmm,
down here in Waldorf, I don't think we have all of the mental institutions or mental help that we need in our schools, especially coming out of COVID. I think we
yes,
just need more presence to be able to deal with the mental state. We as African
hmm,
Americans don't get help when we need to mentally.
Right.
If you say you're seeing a therapist or a psychiatrist, ooh, but I think it's getting more accepted now than what it was
Yes.
before. It's okay to have a because I think once you say things and you're able to hear yourself talk and you're able to talk to someone, I think sometimes just hearing yourself talk and not being judged and being able to have someone that you can trust and know that your business is not going to get out in the street. Sometimes it helps you to solve problems by just hearing
Mhm.
yourself talk.
And that's very true. There are definitely times where you just need an ear. You just need an ear to hear out what it is that you have inside. So definitely, and the mental health stigma here has been kind of, it's definitely getting better, like you said. And I had no clue that we came from the same neck of woods. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so
So
we had to have those conversations, and like the
yes,
person over here said, "I have a therapist." It's okay to have a therapist
yes.
because sometimes you can't talk to other people. I can't talk to my mama or I can't talk to my daddy. I
Mhm.
can't talk to my girlfriend. They're not gonna understand it. Then by the time they give you all of their opinions and what they think you should do, sometimes you don't want to hear people tell you what they think you should do. You just want to
Yeah.
talk and get it out. I mean, it's so much relief to get things out
And
just
then
to say
also
it.
And
So,
also, a therapist is going to be more so like not biased. You know, you talk to a loved one, they're biased because they love you. They want the best for you. So they're going to do
yeah.
everything they can to pour into you all the knowledge and all the resources and everything. Like you said, they're going to jump in there and try to do to help and support you. But really, they're being biased because right now, what you might need is just that ear.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes you need an ear because, like, when I was going through some things in 2012, it seemed like everything was happening all at once. I lost my job. Um, I retired from the military not because I wanted to, but I was a two-time non-select. I was an officer. You have to get promoted by the second time. If you don't, it's a forced retirement.
oh, wow.
So when my packet went to the DA board, I was a two-time non-select. I was looking to stay in another 5 years, and then I lost my uncle during that time frame. I don't know if I said that, but I had a lot of things going on all at once, and I told
Hmm.
somebody, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
Hmm.
I'm literally like done. I cannot take any more. And it just took this one person, my coworker, and I was able to talk to her, and I was able to like, because I couldn't talk to my mom. She would not understand what I was thinking. And and when I said I'm done, she was like, "You're not done. We're gonna get through this together." And I'm like, "Why are you putting yourself in my situation?" And then she's like, "Because I'm in it." And she's like, "We're gonna get through this." And just her saying, "We're gonna get through this." I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody is in this with me. I'm not by myself because mentally, I was mentally fried. So I
Hmm.
thought my only way, like I'm clocking out here, I'm done.
Right.
So you you just don't know a therapist, a close friend. During that time frame, I didn't want to hear what you thought. I just needed to get it out.
Yeah.
And just getting it out and me just talking, I'd be like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, no, I got to do this. Oh, let me do this.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, definitely, that's really true. I mean, when it comes to this whole stigma here about mental health, guys, we have to. I'm not sure if we lost Miss Tammy or not, but pretty sure she'll jump back in there when she can. Okay. So when it comes to mental health, we definitely have to make sure we stay on the up and up, dealing with firearms. Okay. We want to make sure that we're checking ourselves because all of us go through ups and downs. Everybody goes through a whole bunch of pressure that life gives us. Life is hard. There's no other way to put this, and it's no one way of living life. And so when we deal with things, we have to learn how to deal with them, not sweep them under the rug and let it just boil up and just come on out all types of ways, especially being a firearm owner. So we definitely have to check ourselves. If that means you do need to see a therapist, do see a therapist. If that means
Yeah.
you need to talk to a friend, talk to a friend. Don't be afraid to open up and talk to somebody, because what we don't want is you to ultimately end up taking your own life or taking someone else's life just because you can't handle the stress that's going on in your
Mhm.
life.
And one
So,
person said that I know in here said defending your job, they look at you funny. I think
mhm.
we as a person, I'm not going to say a woman or a man, you have to get to the point where it doesn't matter what other people think. I
Mhm.
know it's easier said than done, but when it comes to defending you and your mental well being, at what point do you worry about yourself more so than you worrying about other people? And I think that that's something that we have to learn to do. I think on social media, it's so easy to try to keep up with the Joneses and to keep up because everybody's going to show you what they want you to see. Oh my gosh, I'm in um, Cancun this week, or I'm in
Mhm.
Greece next week, and then you be like, oh my gosh, they get to travel all the time. I have somebody that I know that travels all the time, and then we on the phone, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta go pay $25 on my phone bill." I'm like, "Why aren't you paying the whole $100 on the phone bill?" "Oh, I just came back from Hawaii." And I'm like, "Well, if you went to Hawaii, why don't you pay the whole entire cell phone bill?" "Well, I'm just gonna pay $25. That's all I got." I'm like, "Well, why are you traveling broke?" So it just goes back to that stigma. You have to focus on you.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, you. Don't
Mhm.
compare yourself to other people. Don't look up to other. If somebody else is doing, I'm like, good for you, boo boo. When I
Yeah.
get to that point, to the point that I feel as though I'm ready to do it, then I'm going to do it on my own terms in the way that I want to do it. And you have to be mindful of that. So when it comes to the job, when I was working, and I had people that I was managing, and I had someone who was going through a lot of things in her household. And the good thing is, you do have therapists that now that comes along with your health insurance, I,
Yes.
and you can allow an employee to go to a therapist. All I gotta do is confirm that you went to that appointment. They don't discuss anything with me on what you went to that appointment for because it's confidential. For
Mhm.
me as a supervisor, it's more important to me to have a employee that is well mentally, physically, spiritually, because they're going to give me more work than for me to have somebody at their desk boohooing and can't get the work done because they don't have nobody to talk to and to confide in. And I'm like, no, you got this work to do, and they're there having a mental distress. So
Right.
we just have to change the conversations on what that look like and be more open to having well rounded work environments.
That's
So
true. And then for those who do have jobs that's a little bit more strenuous on the fact of someone needing mental health, you guys have to be mindful to do things that's going to put you in a better mental space. Surround yourself by peaceful people, not people who are like, adding to your stress. Try to do things that's going to keep you calm. Do things that's going to lessen your stress and just
yeah,
alleviate your stress. Keep yourself in a good mental space. That's what you have to do. I mean, we
and
all should
yep,
be doing that. But for
yep,
those who do have jobs where it may actually cost them their job to get some mental health, help. Those people really have to make sure they do their best to make sure that they're calm and have some peaceful times, some break times, and things like that. It doesn't mean that you have to take a vacation, like go on a vacation. It could mean you got a staycation at home.
yeah,
You have 2 hours out of a whole week if you need 2 hours out of a whole week where you just do nothing. Something
hmm
that simple can give you a peace of mind and help you go forth through the next day. And so,
yeah. You
yeah,
have parks that you can go to,
yeah,
at night. You can just sit outside and look at the stars. One of the things that I loved doing back in the day, you look at the stars and try to see if you can find a Big Dipper, if you can find the different things up in the sky. One of the other ones that I saw, because the biggest conversation now is mindfulness. So you
hmm,
can look up in this. A lot of us look down, but how many people look up and actually see listen to the birds? I was outside yesterday and I heard this bird just chirping, 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 and it was really cute, like chirp, 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 chirp. And I'm like, where is that coming from? I'm trying to locate the bird because the song that it was doing, it sounded really nice. And I just
uh-huh,
sat outside just listening to this bird chirp. Um, it can be walking at the park, it can be hiking, it can be just going and sitting by the water. You got Haynes Point, you
hmm,
got so many things. I think we limit ourselves on what that looks like. And there's so many
yeah,
different things that you can do that doesn't cost any money. And then if you don't have someone that you can confide in or you can talk to, different things like that, when you say surround yourself with positive people, you may have a lot of negative people in your family that's around you. You try to decrease the amount of times or their presence in your life, and then you try
yeah,
to increase and find other positive people or situations or different things like that. Growing up, I live, like you said, I never knew we were from the same hood. I grew up in Southeast DC, so growing up, one,
Positivity
I
is just not
uh,
it's not a common thing there, I would
it's not
say.
common. So what I did growing up, I was very selective about my friends, if I had
Yes.
a friend or associate. And then number two, I never was mentally where I was. I was
Hmm.
always mentally forward. So even though I was in the hood, my mind wasn't in the hood. I was
Yeah.
always like, this is what I
Mm.
want to do when I get to be 20, or when I want to be 30, or when I want to be 40. So I was already planning during that time frame of where I wanted to be futuristically, because I knew I would not want to stay in that space. So
Yeah.
I wasn't there mentally. And then the other thing what I did is I found peace in doing things that I like to do that did not cost a lot of money. One of the things that I would do is read books. I
Yeah.
love reading books. Back then, it wasn't social media, so I love reading books. I love going sitting by the water. I would go on base and I would sit by the water on base. So, and there's another beautiful one with the Great Falls up in Virginia. I went
Hmm.
there during the summer last year, and I had the worst headache when I went there, and it was amazing when we got there. As soon as I looked at the waterfalls at Great Lakes, it may not be whatever it's called, it may be called Great, and I know it's not Great Lakes. I think it's called Great Falls in Virginia. As soon as
Hmm.
I got there and I heard the water splashing on the rocks, my headache went away.
Gone.
My
Gone.
headache went away. The
Something
tension in
about
my
water.
muscles went away.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! So
Yeah.
yeah, so we just have to be mindful of that. So somebody said guns are destroying America.
Well, they were saying the topic, responding to Madhair was saying, what are we discussing today? So, well, basically, when it comes to that stress, though, we definitely have to keep that stress level down, and whatever that looks like for you. One of the things that I found really interesting was the fact of we have to be mindful of how we express our stress, and that's how we end up with suicide. That's how we end up with homicide in some cases, because of those things. And it's just a matter of us managing our stress, not letting how we feel on the inside come out negatively, you know. But I looked at some other statistics too. I was thinking about, public safety and just, what some statistical data may be. This was really interesting. 393 million people in America owned a firearm as of 2024. That's like one of the latest statistical data. But it's estimated that about 82 million people owned at least one gun in 2023. So hear me out. 393 million guns someone owns in America, okay? And in that, at least one person, each person, 82 million people own at least one gun. That's what I'm trying to say. At least 82 million people at least own one gun. So meaning that people do have multiple guns. That's what that is
Hmm.
showing. Okay. And it also showed that at least 43% households own at least one gun. So almost half of the United States owns a firearm. Almost half. That is a big deal. Okay. And another thing I found extremely interesting was, well, two things really. Uh, During the pandemic time, which, technically we never really fell out of that per se, but 1 out of 20 adults purchased a firearm. 1 out of 20. So what this tells me is here in America, when we have some sort of emergency, we're going to guns. We must feel some sort of safety as United States, as Americans, in guns. And so that definitely shows that for me. How about you guys? Is that evidence of such? I see we lost you a little bit. The point I was trying to make, and I'm asking a question to the audience now, based on that statistical data, would you agree or disagree that guns, people feel safety in guns? Because when you think about it, during the pandemic season, of course, 1 out of every 20 adults went to go buy a gun. That's what
Hmm.
the statistical data says. So with thinking about that, that leads me to believe that people feel safety about owning a firearm. So
Yeah.
immediately when you felt, I mean, what are we protecting ourselves from? What we think the virus was going, we was going to be able to kill the virus with a gun? But
I don't know what they thought, because I think during that time frame it was a shortage of bullets and stuff like that too, or ammunition. I think it was a huge shortage.
yes, it
Um,
was. It was.
because people were
And
like, there's no
so
ammo available. So I don't know. Maybe they thought they was going to shoot COVID in the butt. I don't know.
I wish
Uh,
we could have. I really wish we could have. I mean, really looking at it, that we all understand that, one thing affects another. So when we think about that, I think people start thinking about like in the days, like, what is this going to look like? Because everything is shutting down. What if people start trying to come in my home and try to take things? So again, I think we more so felt, Americans in general felt safer having a firearm in their home. And
yeah,
even with my company, we seen a surge of people wanting to get firearm training, wanting to buy guns, and it definitely we seen a big surge in women buy firearms as
but
well. And so that
yeah,
that is also something big. And I noticed even like the NRA has the women's NRA division now, like
yeah,
specifically something for women. They have all these things out here that is specific for women. They're doing a whole bunch of different colored guns and things like that to appease to women. They're doing different kind of handbags and things that you can put your firearms in when you conceal carry. So they're doing a
yeah,
lot of things for women in the gun community because they're noticing a surge of women buying firearms.
yeah. And I
So,
think like when we did the empowerment piece, I think it's something empowering when it comes to being able to defend yourself and knowing that you have a means to defend yourself, especially if you're a single woman. I
mhm.
think that it does go back to that fear factor and knowing that you have some type of way to defend yourself. And I never knew that many people own guns. And then I guess that number would be astronomically even higher when you get into how many ghost guns out there, how many illegal guns are out there, and a lot of other things that goes into that number as well. And then when you pretty much break down the number of things that's happening, I think it goes into breaking it down once again into those different pots on where the issues and stuff lies. The
Yes.
issues lies when it comes to drug wars. The issue lies when it comes to domestic violence. The issue lies when you're in school and a child doesn't know how to channel the issues
Hmm.
that is going on in their head mentally, and then they don't know what to do, and they look at, I'm going to go ahead and seek revenge on this teacher or that bully that's been bullying
Hmm.
me in school. So we have those different parts that we have to really address. And once again, I don't think it's no one thing. I don't know why people were buying firearms during COVID. One person said they thought somebody was going to break into their home and things of that nature. But I really think that I don't know what would be the way to address it, because it seemed like it has to be different entities to address
Yes.
all of the different
Well,
issues. And back then, like when you hear NRA, I'm like, why? When I read about their initiatives and what they're trying to do,
hmm.
somewhat, I believe that versus them lobbying not to have stricter gun laws, or when
Hmm.
it comes to background checks and stuff like that, versus saying no, 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 I think we all should have a way to come to the table and have a
Yeah.
conversation as a community and try to agree to agree, but not
Hmm.
agree to disagree, or
Yeah.
disagree to disagree. I think somehow or another we have to show our youth and those that's coming behind us that we can sit down and have conversations and try to work things out. And if you don't agree to something, then tell me some other suggestions on how we can do it. And some of the organizations that I'm president of, if I have a member to say, "Oh no, I disagree with that," I'm like, "Okay, you disagree, but give me some suggestions. Don't
Right.
just say no and don't give me no suggestions. Give me some ideas on how we can address this issue."
Yeah. So when it comes to this topic alone here, I was seeing that someone said in the chat that they're pro guns only because unstable people in America, but they don't like everyone to have a gun, just like everyone shouldn't drive a car. I think that's a perfect example. A
Hmm.
perfect example to say that, we do have to have guidelines, sure. And that's, that goes right along with our politics, of course. It's just gonna Guns are very political. I don't like being political, but guns are political. And we even stated earlier that not one shoe fits us all.
Yep.
So the thing is, we have to find a way to deal with this. You made a valid point, as to the ghost guns that are out in the street. Those things are happening. So they are trying to crack down and put some kind of stipulations on that. So they definitely have made that a federal offense now. At first it wasn't. First it was legal to do. We're
But you
always
have to
trying to
get
work
you
around
have
and
to
get
get
something.
caught first before
Yeah,
federal offense doesn't matter if you don't get
yeah.
caught.
Well, there's a guy in New York that I just read an article that I don't know. Has anybody heard of this situation in New York where a guy was actually on social media advertising him selling ghost guns, and he has been successfully selling ghost guns since September of last year, and the police finally actually caught him or ATF actually caught him because he was on social media actually, advertising for
Yeah.
his sales, and so it's stuff like that that will, make them, and social media platforms too, is definitely one of those things. So someone said to answer, is making firearms training mandatory. That's one that charge people with higher time in jail. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So
But I think
to
you do
your
have to
point.
do firearm training to be able to get it, because with the conceal and
Mhm.
carry, it's a lot that you got to do. Because when my husband got
Yeah.
his conceal and carry, it was a lot. And then I think on those tests, I think you have to get like 100%. You can't even get, is it 90% or 100%? It's like a high percentage. You can't get no 75% on that test.
Yeah,
But
it's one of those things where, okay, so this is one of the things that they're always arguing here. There are certain states that don't require you to do training, and there are certain states that do require you to do training, okay? And so for those states who do require people to do training, let me just ask the audience here, do you guys agree or disagree that we should be made to do training in order to own a gun? So that is definitely a valid question. I would love to hear you guys'
But how
feedback
would
about.
you do the training if you getting it at a gun show and things of that nature? And you going
I'm
to a
just,
pawn shop and getting
yeah.
it? Do you
Hmm.
limit? I guess it would come down to limiting where or who sell guns. It would no longer be that you can get a gun at a pawn shop or you cannot get it at a gun
Well,
show.
it may be just, I would imagine it would be something more like how Maryland does. Maryland and DC, they require you, well, Maryland specifically. Maryland requires you to get a handgun qualification license.
Yes.
So that's HQL for short.
Yep.
And no one who is a Maryland resident can actually buy a gun until they have obtained that HQL.
Correct.
So, and it doesn't matter if they went to a gun store in another state, because the guns that you purchase, for example, someone living in Maryland, they're a Maryland resident, and then they go to another state to a gun show, and that gun show is not going to release that firearm to that Maryland resident in that state. That firearm has to be sent to an FFL dealer in Maryland, okay? And then when you get to Maryland, the gun gets to Maryland for them to pick up, then they have to show proof of their HQL in order for them to purchase the gun.
For them to,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
and that is a good option. And then I
Yeah.
think you have to have stricter um laws, like if, like say
Mhm.
for instance, with us having our business ABC, we have joined with different entities where you say the 21 or none when it goes into purchasing tobacco and vaping and different type of products in the store. And when you go to a store, they have to have it displayed, the 21 or none. You cannot purchase any type of tobacco, e-cigs, or any type of products unless you are 21 years old and you show ID. So it
Yeah.
may have to be something in place too when it comes to stricter laws, when it comes to the age that you can purchase a weapon. If it's 18, if it's 21,
Mhm.
25, or 30, they should have different guidelines. Because I know, like, if a store or like a 7-Eleven or Wawa gets cited that they did not ask for
Mhm.
ID, then they can get cited and fined. So maybe they put those same things in place as well.
They do have some things like that right now. So 18, you can legally buy a rifle. You can legally buy a rifle, shotgun. You can buy it at 18, but you have to wait until you're 21 to actually buy a pistol in the DMV area. Okay, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So when it comes to those type of laws, the thing about that, the only thing that that does is it enables those who actually are raised with guns. So you and I, being born and raised in the city, okay, we're in a city area. We got to think about our mindset towards firearms is a certain thought process.
Yep.
I know for me, growing up, the only people I've seen with guns is either a thug or a police officer or someone who was in military, someone in service of some sort. And that's my thought process of firearms. Until I got more into this field, I started to understand that there are people like my cousins in the South and North Carolina, they were raised with guns.
They were
My
raised with them.
grandfather's house, he had a case of shotguns, and my sister and I
Hmm.
knew not to touch it when we went over there. You know,
Yep.
we had cousins and things over there, and they wouldn't touch it. But put that same thing, that same thought process in the city area, and the kids are more likely to touch it because we don't talk about guns in the city like we do in the country. You know, in the country area, you got people raised with guns. They go hunting. They go in the backyard and shoot cans. And at age, 7, 8, 9, and 10, their parents and grandparents are actually putting a gun in their hand and teaching them how to shoot because it's their Second Amendment right.
Yeah.
Because it's a skill that they want them to learn. It's a sport activity that they can share with each other. So we have to think about the perspective is different. And so your experience is also different. So with that being said, those people who are raised in those areas, they are now 18, legally adults, right? But they still can't buy a gun until they're 21. But let's say they
Yeah.
were raised with guns. They know what they're doing. They know how to be safe.
Yeah, I think once again, it's like almost like what they did in the educational system when they had the Common Core. And I think it was
Hmm.
called Common Core education. So that regardless if I lived in Maryland, if I lived in Virginia, if I moved to Florida, if I moved to Washington State, everybody was learning the same thing at the same grade. It was very
Mm.
confusing for a lot of kids when it came to how they did math. When I would tell my child like just do this, carry the one, and they're like, no, 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 we got to do it. We got to do it like we got to have this, and then it takes up 5 pieces of paper just trying to get one answer. But once again, I think whatever we do and whatever is put in place, it has to be across the states for that very reason.
Agreed.
So if it's
Agreed.
something
Yeah.
that it has to be a common gun law that
Yeah, that's what
goes,
one of the, yep, that's exactly what one
and it
of
has to
the
be across all
leaders said.
52 states and territories, and we're all
Hmm.
talking the same language, we're all doing the same thing, the same way with the 21 or none. That's whatever it is that we're doing, it has to be across all. It can't be like Utah is doing this and Washington State is doing this. It has to
And
be
that
the
is
same it has to be the same conversation across
big
the
deal.
states.
Yeah, that's definitely a big deal. And I know that's one of the things that NRA is fighting for, trying to help us be able to get the law the same across the boards. I mean, you have here one of the biggest things I feel that's so ignorant. I don't even know why we came up with this. We live in the DC, Maryland, Virginia lines, right? So for those who don't know, we call it the DMV area, okay? Um,
Mhm.
so some people will say a tri-state area, okay? When it comes to that, it's so irritating the fact that if I have a concealed carry to carry in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, but I have to carry differently from one state to another because the laws are different. Meaning I can be in Virginia and have 20 rounds in a firearm and carry that one just fine. But because I'm going to DC or going to Maryland to visit family, I got to put that firearm up or at least that magazine up because now I only have a capacity of 10 rounds that I can carry to be compliant with the state laws for
Yeah.
DC and Virginia. I'm sorry, DC
Yeah.
and Maryland. So,
Yeah.
yeah, things like that, it's like mind blowing.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I think whatever we put in place, and like one person said, we are not the United, we're not United States, we're not united, and we see that a lot. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
leaders that we have right now
Mm-hmm.
in government, it's like mind blowing that they're
Yeah.
actually our leaders in the way that they're acting, the way they handle these conversations, and
Mm-hmm.
the way that they respond to the different issues that we have. So at one point, you have to say, do we leave it in the hands of the government, or do we take it and we do these things as a community? Do we lock arms across all the different states and stuff like that, or the different communities, and come up with a unified way of doing things? I know you have to have laws
Yeah.
to be able to mandate things, but what do we do as a community? Not everything is going to be in the hands of the government. The same way when we tell people, we always focus on the presidential election. The presidential election is not the most important election. The
Yeah.
election that is the most important one is the one that happens in your state. When you
Yes.
put in those different representatives into those chairs and stuff in your state and things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature. So the conversation will be, versus just saying, oh, the government, maybe in your area it may be that governor, or it may be that mayor, or it may be that representative that's in your state, it may be that district or that county or that ward. In DC is called wards. So how do we dissect it from a community level and then build it up to a government level? So versus jumping to the government side and it's all combobulated, how do we start it at a community level and lock arms and then come up with a way, once it get to a government level, we're all singing the same thing because we have things
Mm-hmm.
in place that, that makes it a lot easier to toot the government along or tote them
Mm-hmm.
along to 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 give us what we as the people believe that we need as a community, and they're just supporting it versus us depending on the government to put it in place. And I
Well, I
think that
think it
that
definitely starts with conversations like this. Organizations that may come together, and you have these organizations that say stop the violence, stop the gun violence. They have these type of things. So I think it starts with those type of groups and organizations, and then the people, like you said, need to come out and vote. We need to go out and vote. We need to vote for the politicians that's for our, thought process towards guns to be able to help with those things. So that is one thing. And then I was seeing also, Maher was saying, the gun violence has become so outrageous that the government may have to go a bit further and start doing a medical background check for mental illness. This may deter some people, and it may. So, what I would like to say for Maher, as far as I understand, each state does have a certain level of mental health check that they will do. So, for example, if you're involuntarily committed to an hospital, that's a no-no. Like, you're not getting a concealed carry if you were involuntarily committed to an hospital. So that is something I can't tell you the specifics of, like if there's a stature of time or if it's specific states or how they go about that. But there is some sort of connection there that they do have some connection. Um, and it's I want to say it's unfortunate when it comes to that, only because I had a student who has been involuntarily committed, but it was due to a domestic situation. She had a domestic dispute with her husband, and he was very controlling. And one of the things he did to manipulate her and control her was actually institutionalize her. He had her committed involuntarily, claimed she was crazy. And that happened over 10 years ago. And here it is now. She's going through a divorce with this man, and she feels like he may be a harm to her. And she knows that he owns so many guns. And so, and her thought process is, I need to get a gun to protect myself because my husband may be after me. And a sheet of paper that, the sheet of paper that people file to keep people away from them is a sheet of paper. And so, unfortunately, because she was involuntarily committed, she technically can't get a concealed carry permit. So it's one of those things where, again, one shoe doesn't fit all. And I'm not a mental, I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist to say, but she seemed to be of sound mind at this time. I don't know what her situation was, 10 years ago, but at this time she seemed to be of sound mind. And I felt so bad because, I want to help
so
her
they don't
protect
get
herself. Yeah.
reevaluated. So they shouldn't be going off at something 10 years ago. It should be a
Mhm.
reevaluation. And then I don't
But
think
there's some states that is like
uh,
Virginia
it's
is
one and done.
whatever. Like, I literally had another student who had a domestic dispute with her husband, well, boyfriend at the time, and this was like 40 years ago. 40 years ago, and she defended herself by way of using a knife, and actually got incarcerated due to this for a short while. And because she had that on her record, Virginia was unforgiving and said, no, you can't get a concealed carry. I was like, wow, come on, Virginia. Come on, let it go. So it's one of those things.
So
Yeah.
once it's on there, is one and done. So they cannot get
Mhm.
reevaluated once it's
Yeah.
on there. Right? Yeah, that. That is somewhat crazy. And then the other thing that we have to look at is it's so easy to say mental evaluation, like in Waldorf or Charles County. If we don't have mental institutions or anything here, and I don't even know if the hospitals are able to handle those type of episodes. And then I did hear like one, we did have someone here who daughter had a mental breakdown,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, and then they tried to get that person some type of help. It wasn't available because we don't have any mental institutions or anything to help
Uh-huh.
or anything on that magnitude. And then the
Mm-hmm.
hospitals aren't in place. And then when they were able to get them somewhere, if you're over 18, they don't have to provide any of that information to a parent or anybody that's caring for you or
Right.
anything at 18. Like say for instance, the girl wound up getting released from the hospital. They don't have to say when they released that person,
Mm-hmm.
um, what time they released them, where they went to, if they put them in a hotel.
Yeah.
They don't have to give that. So once again, we as a community have to keep these conversations going and lock arms together, and I think make these conversations across the board in our community, and then we go to the government to ask for their help, once you get your 100 signatures or 1,000 signatures or whatever, so that
Mm-hmm.
it can get on their desk. But I think it starts at a community level, and I think like you said, with this it starts with us having these type of conversations, just to be able to dissect it, to see what our community think and what people are thinking in the direction that we're going. But yeah, it's one of those things that we just have some brokenness when it comes to our community because we don't have everything in place that we need. We can say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, everybody get a mental evaluation," but if I don't have a mental spot to do that, it it sounds good, but it's not
Yeah.
going to happen because we don't have that here. So we
Yeah,
just have
I
to be
know
mindful
for
of that.
the gun community, and I'm seeing in some of the comments too, even with that, the mental health checks, that very well can be used as a form of control, and it's a bit personal. And so one of those that I've always kind of battled back and forth with myself on whether or not I believe that we should do more aggressive mental health checks, only because that's infringing in our personal private life, and the government really does not need to know that, at least in my opinion they don't. I don't want to be that open, about things to them, but then
Well,
it's just a form of
look,
manipulation and
people don't
control.
do a mental health check like we have somebody
Hmm.
on here talking about man like the alcohol. I don't see nobody doing a mental health check to go purchase alcohol, or when they
Yeah.
go to the dispensary. I don't see them doing a. Maybe they do. Do they do a mental
Hmm.
health check before they go and buy some cannabis or weed at the
Hmm.
dispensary? I mean, so I think we just have to be mindful of vaping. Do you go and do a mental health check before you vape? And all of the things is now starting to come out with the dangers of how it's even worse than smoking cigarettes now because you got
Hmm.
all of the different things that's associated with it. So we just have to be mindful of those conversations. And not everybody that purchases a gun has a mental issue or whatever.
Right.
So I think when we look at the data, what is the percentage of people that actually have a mental issue when it everybody's cuckoo for cocoa puffs in one way or another. So
Facts.
who don't
Facts.
have a little cuckoo-ness going on? So I
Yeah.
mean, what is
Now,
the
what I will
purpose?
say though, what I will say when it comes to
Maybe the background will be more proficient, or
That
something
was
that
my next point. My next point about that, even with the mental health checks and with the background checks, we're all talking about things that someone has done in the past. Think about their past, what they've done.
yeah.
When
So
we're
if you
talking about preventing, mass shootings or preventing more homicides and
yeah
suicides, it's all about preventing something that happened in the future. So how do we as a community, do you guys have any suggestions on, as a community, how can we approach these things? What solutions can we have to help
yeah
us prevent some of these type of
these
things?
things don't happen because even if you purchase a gun, like say for instance, if somebody purchased
Hmm.
one and they were mentally stable 10 years ago, but
Right.
they not mentally stable 10 years later and they have a weapon and they decide to do something. So that meant, I think like somebody said mental and then we all jump on the bandwagon, oh, mental. But
Yeah.
I think that like one person said education, and I think
Education.
that that's
Yeah.
that's a really good one. Continue the
Hmm.
conversations in the school. I think if we continue the conversations in the school,
Hmm.
continue the conversation in on your job, the same way you have
Yes.
on the job training when you first start the job. Maybe
Mhm.
that can be a conversation there. Keep the conversation in the churches. Keep the
Mhm.
conversations everywhere, so it can be a conversation that we have across the board. Just keep that conversation going, and
Mhm.
um and be able to have those resources and tools available at any given point when people need it.
Mhm.
And it says teach your youth. I think teach the adults too. So I think
Yes.
teach everybody when you start the new job. It's a conversation when you come through HR about those
Mhm.
different things and the tools and resources and stuff that's available through the
And
job.
we
So
can't, and it can't be just a one time thing.
it's
Like
ongoing.
when I, like for example, when I went to school, you know, and I'm pretty sure when you went to school too, you heard the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. Okay, and just thinking about that, it was so amazing. Like as a kid, I took that rule for granted. You know, I heard it, I understood it, but I didn't really grasp it until I became an adult. And I understood then how that transcended to every part of my life, every area of my life, and how that actually caused positivity to come from me to go to someone else.
Yep.
Even if I felt angry inside, my anger, you know, don't put it on somebody else. Treat somebody like I want to be treated. So
Yeah.
if that meant for me to say for a moment, hold on, wait a minute, I'm a little bit angry right now. I need a moment. I need a moment. Just give me a minute and I'll, you know, deal with this situation. I'll converse with you, whatever. Um, and then another thing I noticed with our community is, you know, a lot of times the younger people are growing up with this thought process that everybody's a winner. And I feel like they don't know how to deal with this. You know, when you become an adult, I opened up this segment today talking about life is hard, right? We have to know how to deal with that. So when we are in grade school, there should be some times where we're getting education about our mental health. And we don't even have to approach it by mental health. We can approach it by have the class be called the golden rule. Teach these kids
Hmm.
about treating others the way you want to be treated, for
Yep.
starters. You know, and it transcends so far. Just think about the very simple thing of somebody going to work one day being so angry, and then they're mean to this one person because they're so angry, and that one person, that's all they needed to tip them over, and here they are trying to shoot up everybody, you know?
Yep.
So all it goes back to is treat others the way you want to be treated. And so we need different areas in life, through grade school, through college, when you get the job, that help, you know, when you get the job, that acceptance letter, or you know, that communication when you first get hired, and then you know, trainings through the time of you having this job, needs to go back to that golden rule. And I really think that reminder, that little nudge, will remind us all to treat each other the way we need to be treated, how we want to be treated. So, yeah,
Yeah.
education is going to have to transcend through every area of life in order for it to make sense, in order for it to help with our gun problem. Because really, to be honest, looking at those statistics, you know, the suicide being higher, you know, I honestly think that we have a mental health problem, not necessarily a gun problem in America.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I,
So,
I agree. And it is some good suggestions on here. I think the background check is key, but I think the background check should be an annual thing. It shouldn't be something
mhm,
that's a one and done. I think
mhm,
annual background checks to make sure everything is copacetic throughout the years of
mhm,
that person owning a gun. I think education, like a lot of the suggestions in here, gun education in school, I think gun education in on your at your place of work, I think gun education at church, it needs to be the conversation that we have across the board. It says
yes.
teach the youth. And I think also teach the adults. Somebody said no basketball games. It should be no basketball games, no
Yes.
football games, no type of games, because the adults don't even know how to act at any of those things. But I think one of the things that we really have to address, and being a parent, I see more parents put, and it's not everybody. The same way when
Mhm,
they talk about kids, when I volunteered like track and field, cross
mhm,
country, and those different things, you know, I love archery and things of that nature. It's a different type of mentality. And
yeah.
when it comes to those different things, it's not those some of those sports are you against you. It has nothing. When I'm
Mhm,
running cross country, it's me. It's no. Oh no, the ref made a bad call. It's just me
yeah.
running. Archery, it's
Yeah.
just me shooting. So it's just the mentality and stuff is completely different in those different sports. But on
Mhm,
the other end, it starts with the parent, and the parent. If you say it's no this and the parent do something completely opposite, our youth are looking at how the parents and stuff handle these different situations and these different things that happen. So we have to
Mhm.
start somewhere. And I think we as parents or we as adults have accountability to our youth and have to be mindful of how we do things, how we handle things, how we say things and things of that nature. And be that example that our kids in our community see. And then when they see us doing those things, because what you're saying, we saw it in our teachers, we saw it in our community, we saw it in people around us. And then when it was said, it just solidified it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even with one of the points that someone was saying about who's going to pay for this education. You know, government funding definitely should be available for things like this for us to get that. And let's make sure you guys understand what I mean when I say education to the youth about firearms. I don't mean educating the youth about shooting firearms. I mean educating the youth about firearm safety awareness. So we need to have a real conversation with these kids to find out, why are these kids bringing guns to school? I mean, how
Or
many
why they
cases
feel
have
the
I heard about?
need. Why do
Yes,
they
you
feel the
know,
need to bring a gun or any type of weapon to school? It
gosh,
can
they
be a
don't
knife
feel
or whatever.
safe. They don't feel safe. So, two situations that I can actually recall, as far as children bringing guns to school. One was Virginia Beach. 2 years ago now, the mother actually just was sentenced this year for her 6-year-old first grader student bringing a gun to school and shooting his first grade teacher. Okay, I need to follow up on that story to find out the why he did it, because I really don't know why the little boy did that. But the mom was actually sentenced to prison and fined for that situation. Thank goodness he didn't kill the teacher, but he did successfully shoot her, and she was injured and hospitalized. Um, so that is one thing that could have been prevented had we had conversation with kindergartners about firearm safety and awareness. Okay. Another situation, I was actually hired to go to one of the charter schools in DC and do training with the security team of one of the schools, because they had to successfully uh, disarm a firearm from a student that was coming in there to harm another student with the gun. Okay. And they had no clue really how to do this. But they did, they were able to do it. And that really scared them, because they knew that they had street violence that was trying to come over into the school. And so these kids, they're a whole new breed these days. They're not scared. They got to go through metal detectors to go into school. But yet the little girl was still trying to carry a gun into the school building. Okay, and she was determined she was going to hit her mark. And
Yeah.
so, but they took the time to get some training so that their security team will better know how to deal with the situation, keep the students safe, keep them safe, and ultimately report this and give this to the police to deal with. So we were able to help them with a plan with that. But when I thought about this, I thought about how sad that is to feel unsafe going
In
to
the
school.
school. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't remember feeling unsafe in the school. That when I
Oh,
grew
I
up,
do.
you
I do.
just no,
I
you just
definitely
fought it
do.
out. I don't remember kids
Yeah.
bringing weapons and knives and guns. You
Hmm.
just fought it out, and then after that, your parents made you play together and call it a day. I don't remember. And someone said teachers need guns. I mean, it's so bad to be at a point right now. Even we as parents, you have to be concerned for your kids going to school or being
Hmm.
concerned for your educators. And for me as a parent, I try to do as much as I can to love on the teachers, because one
Right.
bad teacher doesn't account for all of them. And it's a lot of
Hmm.
teachers who teach, it's not because of the salary, it's because they
Hmm.
really enjoy
Yeah.
teaching. And they're the ones that have the lowest salary, and they got to deal with rowdy parents. Like if the child get a bad grade, it's the teacher's fault.
Right.
And then the parent come on the scene. Don't come to any parent conference, no parent teacher conferences, no PTO, no PTSO, nothing. They come on the scene and blame the teachers for everything on the back end. So we just
Right.
have to continue to have that community where we come together and this is the analogy that I use. If I take my finger and I poke, I'm not making a difference, but if we all come together, we have a mighty fist and we can have a big impact. But we got to do it together. It can't be done just poking. We got to do
Yeah.
it by coming together and have a big impact. and not be fighting one another and cursing each other out and all of this other
Mhm.
stuff. But we just have to find a way to get back to that happy medium. I don't know where it happened along the ways. I know that growing up, if you got an award and I didn't get one, I can go to the award ceremony and love on you. If I'm rocking a C and you were able to get straight A's, I'm going to congratulate you. But
Right.
now it's like, oh my gosh, only the kids is getting awards go to the ceremony. Then what happened to that adult now? Like what you're saying, we're causing these issues now in our youth. Now I get on the job and one person get awarded for doing really well on the job. Now you ready to kill everybody because you didn't get no award and you believe that you should have got something, and it's unfair that this person got that, and you can't
Mhm.
congratulate that person because you were separated from people that were getting awards.
Right.
So we have to continue these conversations. A lot of things that we do now, it doesn't make any sense to me. I,
Yeah.
I should be
Well,
able
I
to
have I
commend
have two more
somebody.
points here with this. The last statement that Mike Hector made: teachers need guns. So I know that there is some places in Texas that do have teachers that are armed. Okay, and that's a whole discussion within itself. You know, some people are for that, some people are against it. Sure, everybody's right within their reasons, I'm sure. But when it comes to that, that is a lot of things, surrounding that. I also heard and read articles, I can't remember what state it was, how they decided that there was going to be dads. There were a group of dads that decided they're going to take guard and be patrolling the school. They are patrolling the school to keep the school safe. So going back to that sense of community in that particular area, that was one of the things that they decided to do instead of having the teachers armed. So
I was looking at
let's
the
see.
one that said they would definitely be in jail. That's fun. I mean,
Teachers are
this
too
is
stressed
definitely.
with students.
Look, you
Yeah,
be walking around, with that orange jumpsuit.
basically.
And be able to like Medea up in that class. Trust me, I'm going to take everybody. come come up in my class.
That's right. And that is the truth. That is the truth. And then I'm also concerned about those kids knowing that the teacher has a gun and then go and try to take the gun from the teacher. Like, these kids, I'm telling you, y'all, these kids, if y'all don't have, school age kids at this point in time in life, these kids are a whole new breed.
But I agree. I love the
Mhm.
suggestions on here. The main
Yes.
thing is once again, if we as parents can go into those schools, join those PTOs, join those PTSOs. I don't know about
Yes.
the PTAs and stuff like that. When mine was in elementary school, we did have DAS. I think it was called DAS of, I forgot what DAS stood for, but we had donuts with dads, donuts with mom, or
Mhm.
muffins with moms. It's a lot of different things that you can do to have a parent presence in the schools. It said dads without.
Yes. That's what I was saying. Dads without
No,
Joe.
dads are great kids. So let's come up with a different acronym. Dads in the schools. So, and then one of the things that we looked at too, when moms was in school, they would go. It was a church right next to the school, and they went to see if the church is willing to have people volunteer to come into the schools and have a presence and stuff at the schools, because we can't rely on the teachers and stuff to do everything. It's
Not.
so much that's required of the teacher now. They got to make sure
Mhm.
that they're meeting these assessments and these grades. They got to make sure that they're keeping that disruptive kid in check. They got to make
Yes.
sure that they're meeting the mark with those state test scores, or
My God.
assessments that's coming up. So we as parents, once again, or as a community, we got to figure out, how do we come together, not just,
Mhm.
oh, you got to do this. How do we come together as a community and have a
Yeah.
mighty punch and
Mhm.
be able to make an impact in our community? And yeah, the government got to do their part, but you got state money that's available and things of that
Mhm.
nature. So how do we start on this level as a community, and then
Well, the state money definitely is needed. That is one of the things that myself and Dee, we've definitely been looking for. And I'm
yeah.
telling you right now, those government contracts are hard to come across. There's not very many for gun safety awareness. I mean, we haven't been able to find any. Like, it's we have to almost figure out a way to go around it. And, it's not anything directly for gun awareness and safety, really. So we do need funding for this. I mean, we would love to offer these type of services for free, but we have to live, we have to
Yep.
pay bills too. So it's one of those things. But I would like to go to this next topic before 1 second. I'm just trying to read this comment. Okay, it should be at least one officer
I like that idea, and I
armed at a
think I was
school.
going to say that too. Maybe,
Uh-huh.
maybe
Nick.
someone there that you don't know that
Hmm.
they're
That's
that.
another good suggestion. Someone you don't
Hmm.
know who has a firearm that's armed at the school too. That would be another good one. So yeah, and then someone said homeschool. So definitely, I've come across some students too that has told me they've decided to homeschool their child because of safety. They felt like their kid was not safe at school, and I said to them, I said, "Well, do you feel like your kid is safe riding the bus? Do you feel like your kid is safe riding the metro or catching a taxi or Uber? Which are things that your kid's going to ultimately eventually do if they're not doing right now, when they become an adult. And this is the thing, in those environments, in public environments, we have no real control over the public safety.
Yes.
So one of the things we could do is teach our children about safety awareness. So awareness goes a long way, because what are your kids
Hmm.
doing if they do catch the public train or the bus? Most likely they're doing this. They got their head in that phone. So
And
I always, want to make sure people know, be aware of your surroundings. So even when you are at school, be mindful of what's happening around as much as you can. Listen to the sounds, pay attention. Like if you hear the alarms going off, or if you see somebody running down the hallway, not that you have to be nosy, but you do have to pay attention to make sure that you're being safe. So those are things you do have to tell your kids. So taking them out of a school setting where they learn how to communicate with others, because you can't learn those social, emotional, developmental skills at home with your family, because knowing your family's demeanor and emotional, state is one thing. But what about some other difficult, personality traits that this other person has over here? How do you deal with that when you transcend into the work field? You won't know how
hmm
to communicate and deal with people that are outside of your family being homeschooled. So that's my worry, and that's one of the reasons why I decided not to homeschool my children when I was considering it. So I said, wait a minute, what kind of skills are they going to learn by staying home? Yeah, sure, a lot, but I think they would learn a whole lot more being around others that comes from different backgrounds. Because I want
Yeah.
them to be successful. And
Yep.
I knew somebody who actually was homeschooled. And when I tell you, she would lean on me a lot, and I kind of took under my wing to help, because I felt I felt like, she was reaching out for help. She wanted to understand things better. She didn't understand certain social cues or personal space, and it was other little things that you'd be like, oh wow, she's a little bit weird, but it was just simply because she was homeschooled and she wasn't around other people. So
The-
it was like she
yeah.
was learning that being an adult and being a mom at that. She was married and a mom at this point. And she
Yeah.
had to learn these things. So that's a concern with when
Yeah.
kids are
And I think
homeschooled.
some of it come to different situations. I don't think like the answer it would be like, oh, homeschool. Because I think like one of the things that I never realized is that even in schools, it's still
It's an
broken up.
adult.
You have your scholars,
Mm-hmm.
which we have here. We have a scholars program for people when you get tested for the gifted, because I think they tested third grade. Then you had your
Mm-hmm.
honors, which was a step below the scholars, and then you had your general population. So you'd be surprised when you get to that scholars level, they can be like, "Oh, did you get an A today on the test? Oh, I got an A there." So it just depends on it's a they still have those tiers and stuff in school, which I
Yes.
never knew about growing up because I never paid attention to it. So in
Mm-hmm.
homeschool, it just depends on if their child is bullied, you exhausted all of your resources to try to get that child help. And then
Mm-hmm.
you may just have a situation where I've seen people pull their child out in homeschool for a year or two, and then they send that
Mm-hmm.
child back because it was some little things that they had to deal with right then and there.
Right.
Would
That
I
makes
do
sense too.
would I do it for their whole entire education? No, because I agree. We're social people, and we
Mm-hmm.
like we have to we we have to be around people. We connect, we feed off one another. But in
Mm-hmm.
some situations, you may have to pull them back, reassess, love on them a little bit, prepare them up a little bit, and then. And I've seen some parents that decided to homeschool, and the child was like, "No, no, no, I'm ready to go back." I don't. This homeschool thing was. If you had this idea, this is not what I want to
Mm-hmm.
do, because they want to go back and get involved in those different extracurricular activities, soccer,
Yeah.
basketball, volleyball, those things
Mm-hmm.
that you're not going to get homeschool. You're not going to get those competitive sports. I may be able to put you into a
Mm-hmm.
soccer thing after school. I mean, in the afternoon, but it's not the same as playing with your peers and stuff. So I
Yeah.
agree. I don't know why they took home economics out of school. That may be where you get some of that stuff, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that it took out. Some of the schools, they say no parents coming to school, and then when I get to a different school, they be like, oh no, all the parents coming to the school. So we just have to be
Yes.
mindful of
There we
those
go with that,
conversations.
things being different, one place to another. Yeah.
One thing, so
Somebody in the comments said that kids need a belt.
and then we gotta,
So
and then I'll tell mine like you go ahead and call the police and see, and you may get into a whole nother different situation.
a whole
So
nother different
yeah,
situation
because
for
the
sure.
kids and stuff get on
Definitely.
top, and then we have to be mindful of the influence of social media. We say the
Mm-hmm.
kids. I've seen adults. I can if you go out to eat, look at how many people at the table, the mother, father, and the kids and stuff is on the phone. So once again, we have to set the example. If we go out to eat, the mama,
Mm-hmm.
daddy, auntie, everybody put their phone away. And if you go out to eat, you set us an opportunity to have conversation. If we go out to eat, we're not going to just be on, and that's nasty. You scrolling on your phone, you don't wipe your butt and everything. You touch your phone and then you go touch your food. So
Yeah, that's
just
true.
just be mindful of those things. Look at those opportunities to have conversations and stuff with your kids, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody put down a phone and have conversations. So it's a lot of levels and stuff.
Yeah.
And you may have to list all of them and put them in order, but we have to put down the phone a little bit and limit that. Even on
And
my phone,
we need
what I
more
did, I
boys and
set
girls
limits on my
clubs too.
phone. With
They
the
closed a lot of
iPhone,
them.
you can
The
set
Boys and Girls Club.
limits. Which
Hmm.
one?
The
You said
Boys and
boys and
Girls Club.
girls? Yeah.
Yeah, the Boys and Girls Club. They closed a lot of those. We need more of those because the more I'm talking to people in the community about different things, I'm starting to understand that there are a lot of kids that don't have safe and healthy homes to be at.
Yeah.
So and that was a big discussion I had with somebody. I was listening to the radio recently, and I was hearing about how DC is implementing a curfew for the youth. Anyone under the age of 17 cannot be in the streets after, gosh, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was after 11 p.m. or it might be 12 a.m. Okay. Until the hour of maybe 6 a.m. or something like
Yeah.
that. They have a curfew set for DC now for the youth. And there's a consequence to go along with that. If you are, caught to be on the street outside of curfew hours and you are a minor, then you are subject, and your parents are also subject to either being fined or having community service. And the kid being a community service, the parent being community service and or a fine. And I thought this was really, really a good idea because it's a lot of shootouts that's happening in those hours. Hence the reason why our parents told us you better be on before those street lights come on.
Yeah.
How many of you guys were raised with that thought process, with that rule, the street light?
Yeah. You better
So
be in the house, and then if you wasn't, your parent be at the thing. Get your blah 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 blah. You
exactly.
either met the curfew or you want to get embarrassed some type of term.
Yes. So how many of you guys were raised with the street light being your curfew? I'm just curious. So, but you made a valid point too about us needing to lean on one another. And so I thought about this thought process before, thinking about other countries and how they do things. These other countries that don't allow firearms, okay? And I'm like, wow, how are they living life with no firearms? Okay. Huh. Because I'm thinking going down this whole rabbit hole or trying to understand the people's thought process that wants to take firearms away from America. And I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, but I keep going back to this Second Amendment, thought process because you have these places in other states, other places in the world. that don't have firearms. Okay, and so they do still have crime. That doesn't mean there's an absence of crime because there's an absence of firearms. And not only that, you think you're gonna really take the guns away from these criminals out here? These criminals not giving up their guns. They gonna keep their guns.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, you'll have your everyday civilians that are law-abiding citizens giving up their firearms, but yet you have the criminals on the street with the guns. So the taking away the guns thought process for me just doesn't seem like the right answer. So it does look like a lot of people who are brought up with the same street value, the street curfew, the street light curfew.
Yeah.
And so I think that might have kept some people safe.
Everybody
So
probably it probably did. It kept a lot of us
yeah.
safe. But I think
Mm-hmm.
back then you had more of a sense of community as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody took care of one another kids. If I needed to go use the bathroom, I can use the bathroom in anybody apartment in my grid.
Mm-hmm.
You knock on the door, I gotta use the bathroom. Oh, come on in.
Yeah.
In the community today, I would ask anybody in here, do you know at least four of your neighbors? Four that you know them by name, and you can knock on their door and say, "Hey, you got a cup of sugar? You got an egg?"
Yeah,
So,
that's a
because
good
because
question. I know I
we
don't.
can do that back in the day. Hey, you got an egg? I was making a cake and I came up short on eggs. You got some
Yes.
bacon? I mean, but
Mm-hmm.
we can do that back then. I don't even know if you can do those type of things now. I can go knock on a neighbor door back in the day and ask for a cup of sugar or some milk, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But now people be lucky if they even know their neighbor, even if
Right.
they know them by name.
By name, yes.
By
I
name.
see my
Back
neighbors and
then,
it's
we
high
knew
and
the whole entire grid. I
yeah.
mean, we knew everybody upstairs, downstairs, around the corner, up the street, down here. We knew
Mm-hmm.
everybody. And
Yeah.
we all took care of one another. If you needed to use the bathroom, you can use the bathroom. If you wanted something to eat, hey, so and so is over here. They having dinner with us. Oh, okay, that's cool. It was no concern or issues or whatever. We all knew one another. If I had something, you had it. So once again, when
Mm-hmm.
it gets back to a lot of these suggestions in here, I think they're all valid suggestions. And then when we get back to gun violence, we're setting the tone and the stage for all of the things that happen in the background that leads to the issues that we have in our community. And
Mm-hmm.
to wrap it up too, take care of yourself. Whether it's reading a
Yes.
book, like we said earlier, sitting by the water to de-stress, getting walking a Zumba class, going to some type of fitness, go swimming, go running, do something. Your body releases endorphins to help out with stress and things
Go
of
to
that
the
nature. You
range.
go to the range, do
Yes.
archery. I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't matter what it is that
Mm-hmm.
you do. Go get a pedicure, go get your nails done. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
or you can do your own pedicures when you're not spending money. Go hiking,
Yes.
go for a walk in the park. It's a lot of things that you can do to de-stress.
Yes.
Even for me, if you can't do any of those things, lock that bathroom door and sit in that shower, and that's your own oasis. Put on your nature
Yes.
music, and
Love it.
that's your oasis. So when we talk about all these different points and things to get to, what leads up to the violence. So
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like you're taken away from anything to have a little bit of me time. Even at work, somebody said, people take cigarette breaks. I'm going to take a non-cigarette break. The same way
Yes.
people go take
I
those
used to
cigarette
do
breaks.
that. I
Yeah, they
literally
like,
used to do that. I
yeah,
worked
they
at a
like,
place. I will never
mhm.
forget it. One of the jobs I went to, almost everybody was a smoker, and I wasn't a smoker. So here was everybody's taking their 15. Oh, I'm gonna go take my 15. I'm gonna go take my 15. And here it is. I'm never getting the 15 because I
15.
don't smoke. So
Yep.
what
I'm
I
going to take
did
my
was I
non-cigarette break.
started doing it. I
Yeah, my
started doing it, and I would
non-smoking
take a
cigarette
walk.
break. Yeah, go take a
I took a
walk.
walk. Yep,
So
I
that's
took
what
a
I'm just
walk.
saying. It's ways to get it, but just take that chain off of your brain and not think that, oh, it's no way. It's ways to
Mm-hmm.
do it, but you just got to be creative in doing it. Take care of
Yeah.
self. I think what leads to a lot of these issues is that we don't make ourselves first. We make everything else first before we
Yes.
make ourselves first. Even on a plane, when a plane is going down, what they tell you? Put on your oxygen first, then you help the other person. But
That's
we
right.
we trying to put oxygen on everybody else, and we losing air, and we losing life,
Mm-hmm.
and we losing our mental stability. Put your oxygen on, do what you got to do, take care of self, and then you take care of others. So don't be afraid or unapologetic to take care of yourself, and let your yes be yes and your no be no. If it's something that you can't do, oh, I don't want to hurt their this is so
Don't
funny.
worry about feeling.
I had somebody to tell us. So we're those people, like we like to check on people. Hey, come on out. You can do a free boot camp. Come on. We care
Mm-hmm.
about you. We just want to see you. And and we really promote it because we have chronic diseases in our community, and we try to help wherever we can in the Black and
Mm-hmm.
brown community. High blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, all of those things are plaguing our community. So this one lady said, I got tired of y'all coming to me because she said I cannot tell y'all no. So she said I blocked y'all.
Oh, oh, okay,
I'm like you. I said that's why every time I call your phone, I'm thinking you had no phone service. Say the number you have reached. So some people you may have to block. I'm telling you, and I felt in my feelings. I'm
yeah,
like you blocked me, but
yeah.
some people you may have to block to get your
Mm-hmm.
mental health together. And when she called us, and she was straight up, she like I had to block y'all, but and we joked about it. But once
Mm-hmm.
again, do what you gotta do to take care of your own mental well-being. I'm
Yes.
telling you,
And
you
then reach
don't
out and help someone else. Like
and reach
literally
out, but
mentor
take
some
care.
kids.
Do yours first. Do yours first. Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, don't
He
block
said
the
I
gym.
blocked my gym, but I
Don't
still pay monthly.
yeah, don't block the
Okay,
gym.
Michael.
I'm telling you to go to the gym. Go and do what you got to do. The main thing that you block is the thing that you need. Your body releasing souls, and don't block something else, but not the gym. So I would tell you the main thing you blocking is the thing you need, because I can go to my
Mhm.
Zumba class stressed, and when I leave from that bad boy, boy, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But I tell people to come to my class. We here to have fun. We here to put all of the stresses and stuff to the side. And when you leave from here, I want you to be better than what you were when you came into class. So just
Somebody said
right.
I'm blocking my partner.
I hope they're not on here because you're gonna be in trouble. So
Right. That look, Mrs. Trouble didn't tell you to say that. Don't you dare put our mouths in this. Don't put ABCs in this, connection in this. Miss Tammy had nothing to do with
I don't have nothing. Don't even put us in that conversation. Look, you get in trouble by yourself. You be sleeping in the garage and do not come back on here saying it was our fault.
that.
So
Right. We didn't tell you to say that. We told you to go the rule to treat others the way you want to be treated. Okay.
yeah. So look, we do not condone what Mike Hector has put on his.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
No,
So
don't say
what
you
I would
guys
like
told
to
us to, because we
say,
did not. That's why I
yeah.
put our disclaimer out there. So Mike, you out on your own.
So what I would like to tell you guys, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the support, all the love of you guys being here, having this connection, this conversation with us.
Look,
Because
Sheena, tell people to smile. Stop walking around looking like you having a bad day.
oh yes, that's
Smile
a good one.
and give other compliments. Don't be afraid to come. I was driving one day, and I know not to cut you off. I was driving one day, and I was checking this girl out. And I looked over. She looked out. I like, girl, your hair is rocking. She like, girl power, girl power. I'm like, girl, I love your do. I rolled down my window. I said, girl, I love your do. You are rocking that hairstyle. So
Yeah,
don't be afraid to give compliments.
that definitely just might make somebody's day. That might change somebody's mind from going in the house and doing something about taking their own life or
Yep, and then
going
it was the
somewhere else
passenger on the
that
other
hurt.
side yelling girl power. She like, girl, that's right, girl power. So don't be afraid to get compliments. Don't be afraid to smile. Don't be afraid to say how you doing, girl. What's up? You rocking
What
that
if they ain't
yellow
got
dress
no
today?
teeth? Somebody
Huh?
said, what if they ain't got no teeth?
Girl, tell them that you like their gums. Girl, your gums are girl, you rocking your gums. Your gums look
Oh
perfect. Your
yeah.
gums are good.
Hmm. Yeah, that then see they don't have no teeth then DMV renovation. You gotta sit up there and say their hair look good. You gotta compliment something else.
Or the
Okay?
eyes. It can be that pretty
The
frizz they got
eyes, the
on.
beautiful eyes. Yes. Everything above the chin though. Let's keep it above the chin. So nobody don't think other things.
Yeah. So y'all just just lighten it up a little bit. It's not that
Yes.
serious, y'all. So let's just bring that community together, have that mighty punch, bring it together, and it's not that serious. And I think that if we can get back to basics, have that community, seek help if you needed a therapist, focus on your
Mhm.
well-being, be able to support one another, go into those schools, be supportive of our teachers and our educators. And then a lot of the suggestions, the education and stuff, let's continue this conversation about what can we do, what can we do, what can we do, and not just only talk about it, but let's do it.
Y'all gonna keep going. Bald head, no teeth. What we supposed to do with that? Okay, okay.
Then the
Did you say
shirt.
then the shirt? Okay, you got your stitches is beautiful. Like seriously, you gotta find something to compliment on these people. Something.
The earrings, the earrings.
The
Girl, your earrings are
earrings,
nice.
yes, something. Well, thank you guys again so much for joining us. This has been awesome. I'm gonna stick around for a few more minutes just in case anybody has any more questions. But I really just enjoy exploring this topic with you guys because being in this firearm community can get a little bit hard sometimes. I encounter some people who are so against firearms and they're really just kind of like want to beat me down, like with all their words about how I'm teaching people how to harm others. And I'm like, that is not what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
gotta
you don't get,
put them in those different
yes,
containers, those different ones. Yes,
yeah.
not
And,
teaching. You're teaching self defense, women empowerment,
mhm.
but in the bucket when you get into gang violence and drugs in the community, that's a whole different entity.
Yeah, that's true. And you're right, EDP. There is a lot of bald head and no teeth people in the city. You are definitely right about that. So we gotta find something else to compliment on people. But definitely just, spread the love, spread this sense of community, and that's gonna go a long way to help somebody have a good day instead
Yep.
of helping somebody have a bad day. And that bad day is what's gonna give us some negative, situations such as gun violence.
Yeah,
Balance.
and y'all are awesome in the chat. Yeah. So
Yes.
thank y'all so much for joining us and keeping it going. And like I said, we just have to put them in the correct compartments. It's no one shoe fit all. I'm not a big advocate of guns when it comes to it being in the community and affecting our black and brown community. But when it
Mhm.
comes to empowerment and self-defense and things of that nature, then that's a whole different type of entity. So we just have to be mindful when we say all, everything is
Yeah.
does not, everybody is mean, everybody is this.
Hmm.
We have to be mindful of that all and every, because it's not everything or everybody or every situation. We have to put them in the correct compartments. Oh,
Yeah.
with my Zumba class, I rock. Let me stop. I do it in Waldorf. I do it on Mondays at 6 o'clock. And if you look at Tammy, I do it through Park and Rec down here. But I do it at the Cherry Blossom. So check it out every March. I'm on that stage at the Cherry Blossom. But I've been at it for quite a while. But I love, love, love Zumba. When I go into my classes, it's just about having fun, working off that shit. You're going to get a workout. We're going to work your quads. We're going to work your glutes. We're going to work that core. We're going to work your obliques. We want to work everything. We're going to get all those body parts in. But at the end of the day, it's just about listening to some good music, traveling the world, and having some fun. But if you look
And
at
how do they
Tammy,
get in contact with you?
so ABC Fitness Connection, we're located in Waldorf, Maryland. If you look at ABC Fitness Connection, you'll see us. And I think I have the link on our page as well. The class that I have right now is sold out, but they do have on drop-ins. She said, "Damn, Alexandria, come through." She'd have been trying to get me even to do virtual. So I told her I'm going to do one. If I can do a virtual one, I'll do one, and then you can join and check it out from there. So I'll see if I can hook up a virtual one, and I'll get Sheena a link, and we can do it that way.
Hey, look, but I will say though, if I lived in Alexandria, I'd have been there. I used to live in Alexandria, and definitely I would have been there. I was used to doing that commute, but now I'm further away. I'm like an hour away from Alexandria now, further
No,
south.
you know I'm in Waldorf, so
Yes. So it's gonna take me quite a bit. So that's the reason why I haven't been. But definitely I have to make it there. I have to. And then you be having it during the weekday. I ain't trying to
yeah.
go through all that traffic.
But you gonna have to make it one where you said you
I
put
have
everybody in
to.
the car, you come and do your Zumba, then y'all go eat something healthy.
That's true. That's true.
Because we
Yeah.
can't undo. But the other good thing, we do boot camps, we do one-on-one personal training, we do nutritional guidance. The
Oh,
thing for us
thanks.
is to help the Black and brown community with fighting these chronic diseases. My husband and I are retired military, so we had the opportunity to know the
Mhm.
benefits of taking care of yourself, eating right, doing things in moderation, doing things in your portions, and things of that nature. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to be mindful that the body that we have is a temple, and the temple is that driving force to us achieving our purpose in life. So we just have to be mindful of those things. And even with the services we provide, we do it in person and we do it through the internet. We do a hybrid where you can come to some sessions in person and you can do some online. Or if you're not in this area, we can do everything online. We will tell you what you need to be able to do it online as well. So the main thing is helping our community to fight these diseases because we're dying at a rate that is a lot higher. I know someone right now that's in their 40s that had a mini stroke. So we have to be 40. Normally
Mm.
that's at 70 and 80 that you hear about that in our day.
Yeah.
So we just have to be mindful of taking care of our body and our temple. But if I can do one virtually, everybody in Texas, Jersey, Alexandria, it doesn't matter. You be in the comfort of your living room, your car, or wherever you may be to be able to join in. So I'll get Sheena a link. I'll try to come up with the date and maybe we can rock one online.
Yeah, let's do it. Definitely. Definitely, you guys stay connected so we can definitely do that Zumba class. I'm in there if it's online for sure. And so also you guys stay tuned as someone also mentioned, this conversation did open up for an array of so many other topics for us, so we will be back. I'll be back next week Friday same time, and we'll be discussing about kids. At what age do we have the gun talk with our children? So that's actually
Elementary
our
school.
next topic. So yeah, we'll be talking about that. So definitely stay tuned, you guys, and look forward to seeing you guys next week. It's been awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank everybody on online or so for all of your awesome comments and smiles and stuff and keeping us going. So thanks so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Miss Tammy, for joining us today. I enjoy every bit of this.
Yep. And I'll get you a date for a Zumba class. And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
look, and when I get a date, everybody that's on here should be on there. And don't let it be just me and Sheena. Because if it's just me and Sheena, I got your handles on here and we're going to be having a conversation if you're not on it.
Checks and balances.
Uh, See
All
y'all
right,
later.
y'all. Have a good night, you guys. Just staying here for a second in case you guys have any other questions, but I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night. And back at you. You a king or a queen as well. All right, I'm out.